far too early and I wasn't ready. Never mind. Cuckoo, everybody, and a happy Wednesday to you. So today's lesson is all about why you should have or why you need resistance training as part of your weight loss plan. Now, there are some plans out there, totally unready, never mind everybody. Now, there are some plans out there that utilize purely diet. Okay, so they're the ones I'm aiming the scorn at. Okay, most new age plans or any dynamic plan or any plan that's worth its weight will always have some form of resistance training. So first and foremost, resistance training, so working your muscles, if you like, whether that's body weight or lifting a weight or challenging your muscles, that kind of training, preferably weight bearing, or it will be weight bearing really, but prevents osteoporosis and it builds lean muscle tissue. Now, sometimes when people hear resistance training, they think bulk muscle, they think big, strong thing muscles. It's not, it's lean muscle tissue. Yes, you can perform that type of training to get bulk muscle if that was your goal, but remember that the kind of things you're potentially thinking about is you're thinking of bodybuilders, and they train a specific way and they eat a particular way to bulk up, which is not always the case. But for everybody else, with muscles, if you exercise them, you break them down and they build back stronger and bigger, and you want quality lean muscle tissue. Muscles are very, very greedy. They demand a lot of energy just to sit on your frame. So the more lean muscle you have, the more energy your body demands on a daily basis. Now, muscles work on a use them or lose them basis. Because they're greedy, because they demand a lot of energy, what happens is if you're not feeding them or not using them enough, your body says, well, we can't afford to have these muscles, let's strip them away. Now, where that becomes a problem is that if you're on a diet controlled or calorie controlled diet and you're not using those muscles, so there's not necessarily a lot of calories coming in and you're not using the muscles, the brain says, well, why are we storing all the nutrients in here? Why are we keeping these muscles active and ready for action when it's not seeing any action? So what they do is they strip them all of the nutrients, deactivates all the muscle fibers, they shrink and they basically go dormant, because you can get them back, and that's called muscle memory. But fundamentally, you use less energy because your body says, well, if we've not a lot of energy coming in, I'm going to use less energy. And that's the case if you're calorie deficient. Now, for a weight loss plan, you might start off and say, yes, I'm going to go calorie deficient and I'm going to eat less, try and move a bit more. But then that gets them to a point. So as they go along their journey, they're getting results, right? They lose some body fat, do this. But then what happens is their body starts to say, well, wait a minute. We can't hang on to this muscle, so we're going to start stripping it down. Now, you've got what's known as your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. Now, that is the energy that you use on a daily basis, even if you didn't move. Now, normally when we work out your average daily calories for males and females, generally what they do is they take the average BMR for your age group, and then they take the average movement that your age group does, combines it together, and then they come up with those figures. Now, if you start to lose a lot of muscle mass because you're not using them and you're calorie deficient, your body will strip away that lean muscle. When it strips away that lean muscle, your demands are lower. Okay, so suddenly your BMR comes down. So you might get a 10-week plan where you're like, yes, I'm losing 2 to 3 pounds or 1 to 2 pounds every week, great. And then guess what happens? At the end of 10 weeks, your BMR is way down here. So then when you think, right, I'm off the diet now, I'm going to go back to normal eating, guess what happens? The weight piles back on and it gets worse than it was before, because previously when you had more lean muscle before you even started, right? When you're up here, you had a particular BMR and you had particular calories coming in. Now at the end of it, 10 weeks later, you've lost that lean muscle, so your body doesn't need as many calories. So when you go right back to eating the calories you were eating 10 weeks prior, before you started dieting, it is massively more on your body. And before you know it, you start piling on weight and you've got less muscle to try and fight it off, and it becomes this perpetual cycle of weight piling on. And it becomes another failed attempt, if you like, at dieting. So the key thing is that you have to have resistance training in your diet, 100%. And then the way you do that is, hold on, I'm going to hide all that for now. So you have to have some sort of resistance training in your diet, without a doubt. So we know that you need a good diet. We need to be calorie controlled and calorie deficit to trigger the fat burning response. But then what we need is we want to start building lean muscle tissue. Because if you can add some quality lean muscle and create a demand on the body, your body's overall calorie requirements are high. So then when you lose the weight, 10 weeks down the line, you've kept your muscle up. And in fact, you've gained a little bit of muscle too. Then all of a sudden your body's demanding more energy than it was 10 weeks prior. You've dropped a bunch of body fat. Even if you went back to normal eating, your body requirements are up here. You can get away with so much more. I can get, when I carry more muscle mass, and again, I'll probably go more on the bulkier side, I can get away with eating more. If I strip down on the muscle and then try to eat what I eat now, I would pile on a lot of body fat and it wouldn't be great. Now, some of the other reasons you'd want to do resistance training for a weight loss program is, yes, it burns calories when you're doing it, great. But what it also does is it makes your body catabolic. Now, when you do resistance training, you burn a lot of energy, ATP, very, very quickly because the demand on what you're doing is quite condensed, it's quite intense, right? So ATP levels, that's the energy your body uses, they drop quite a lot. And one of the byproducts of ATP is something known as the AMP. I've done other videos on this, basically all about adenosine triphosphate and adenosine monophosphate, so I've waffled on before. But fundamentally, when ATP goes down and AMP goes up, and there's a huge enough ratio gulf, there's something known as AMP kinase that comes out, and when that's present, it stops fat storage and maximizes fat burning. And it does that for a good few hours after your workout. So you might have heard people, or even myself, talking about that when you do a resistance workout, lifting some weights, that you're catabolic for a good few hours afterwards. More so than if you just stretch, more so if you just went for a walk, more so even if you went for a brief light run, okay? So it's not just the calories you burn when you're working out. It's not just the extra calorie burning from building lean muscle tissue over a long period of time. It's actually the catabolic state it puts you in for a good 2 to 3 hours after working out as well. Which means you've worked out really hard, burned calories, you've protected your future by keeping lean muscle tissue in the frame, and also for 2 to 3 hours afterwards, your body's catabolic and it's churning up calories for fun, and the key thing is it's not priming to store. Okay, so that combination together leads to really successful results. As you just have to break away from the idea or the fear that lifting weights is going to make you bulky. The amount of times I've spoke to people that said, "Oh, Rab, it's okay to lift these weights. I don't want to get big arms." And I'd say to them, look around the guys in these gyms. Every one of these guys want big arms, and 90% of them don't have it, and they're all pummeling the weights as well. So it's ultimately, lifting weights doesn't necessarily give you big arms, but lifting weights in a bodybuilder fashion and eating to pile on the mass gives you big arms. So what you want to be thinking with the body has to be challenged. The muscles have to be challenged. In order to do that, body weight resistance or use of weights and machines, any way you can challenge those muscles is going to be key for your results, for losing weight and for keeping the weight off. There's lots of ways you can do that. Standard loose weights, gym weights, Pilates-based stuff, body weight, anything that makes the muscles burn or work. And if the muscles are sore afterwards, you've done your job. Now, that's not to say that if you follow a particular routine for a while, it doesn't hurt anymore. When it gets to that, it doesn't mean it's not having a benefit, but what you might want to be thinking about is changing up your routine a bit if you can. All right, so those are some of the key reasons why you want to have resistance training as part of your weight loss plan. Right, I'll go to the comments. I'll turn the chat back on again just so I don't miss anything. Amanda's on as well. Even the coach has started early. Yes, Amanda. What it was is I was doing a live on Monday, and one of the options I have is to stream vertical or stream horizontal. And I normally set it to horizontal, but it flipped back to vertical. And I tried to go live. This was on Monday, and I ended up having to do the stream vertical. So today I was trying to sort it to go horizontal, if you like. And I got a horizontal, great, good job, Rab, and it started to stream early. Normally it kind of holds off and as I go live and a countdown and everything, so my bad. Any questions on that at all before I leave you all to the rest of your week? And I do apologise for starting early. It was either that or be vertical with black boxes. I think I started 5 minutes early, didn't I? Oops. No questions at all? Okay, so those are the key reasons why you want to have resistance training as part of your weight loss plan. Any other questions, pop them into the comments of the video and I will get around to them as quickly as I can. Have a great second half of the week, everybody.